Hey guys, and welcome to Taylor Tech. Today we're going to be taking a look at the SCM800 microphone from Nady. It's this guy right here. It's a studio condenser microphone that is a good entry-level device. So in the box you get the microphone itself as well as a little pleatherette bag that's lined on the inside, which makes a nice carrying case for it when you're not using it if you don't have it set up, or also is just a general good mic bag. It's actually a little bit heavy duty. It's not as cheap as some of the other stuff I've seen. Physically, the microphone itself is a solid metal black body. It's a standard condenser mic assembly where you've got a frame on the inside with a tube covering the outside that locks at the bottom and a mesh grill at the top. Underneath the mesh grill, there is a true condenser element. You can kind of see it through the grill, but when you take it off, you get the full effect. It is a nice plate condenser in there. On the bottom, you've got a locking XLR connector. And while the spec sheet says that it's a 42 millimeter shaft on the body, when I measured it with a set of calipers, it's actually closer to 44 millimeter. So keep that in mind when you're getting a mic holder for it. Don't get one that's too small. It is just slightly bigger than the spec sheet says. Another thing I noticed with this microphone when I disassembled it is there is a mystery button on the PCB board underneath the housing for the microphone. It's labeled as if it were a low cut, but there's no mention of it in the documentation for the microphone. I attempted to contact Nady to see if I could get some information about that button, if that's what that actually was, but I wasn't actually able to get a response from them. I haven't actually noticed any difference in operation trying it in one setting or the other, so I just left it as it was when it came to me. From the spec sheet side, they actually had a pretty decent spec sheet on it. It's a negative 40 decibel voltage sensitivity. It has a 20 decibel A-weighted equivalent noise rating and 70 decibel signal to noise ratio. So this means that it's a very sensitive microphone. It's got low background noise, so it's not producing a lot of self noise. Definitely quieter mics out there if you're looking to go, high dollar, but for the price, it is pretty good specs. It does list a 30 hertz to 20 kilohertz frequency response range, but they didn't actually provide a response graph, which is a little disappointing because from what I was hearing as I'm using the mic, it tends to have a little bit more weighting towards the high end of the frequency spectrum than the low end. So in terms of features and functions, it's really basic. Other than the mystery switch underneath that we don't really know what it does, but is labeled as if it were a low cut, there's no other switches or buttons on the microphone. It is a true studio condenser microphone, so you do need to provide 48 volt phantom power to it. So whatever preamp or mixer you're using is going to have to be able to provide phantom power. So the biggest limitation that I've found with this microphone is that its sensitivity is very high and almost to the point of being problematic. It picks up all sorts of popping and wind noise when you're talking. That's why I actually have the pop filter in front of it, because without the pop filter it would be almost unusable. You can't speak directly to it without something in between you and it. In terms of price, you can usually find this microphone somewhere under $50 on Amazon. I picked mine up for 47 bucks. That seems to be about where the price usually is. So as I mentioned earlier, there's a little bit less low-end pickup with this microphone. It seems to focus more on the highs, the mids and the highs, with a little bit of emphasis on the highs. This can create a very brilliant sound if that's what you're going for, although it can get a little bit sibilant, especially if you're using compression or something like that to help give you a more even volume level. Although the price point of the microphone doesn't necessarily indicate that you would buy a lot of additional gear to support it, if you have the gear, something like a de-esser would be really good if you're going to use compression on this mic. In terms of durability, it's more than durable enough for daily use. It's, like I said, it's a solid metal construction. It's got a nice metal grill around the windscreen of the microphone. I've accidentally unplugged it more than once with phantom power turned on and noticed no ill effects to the microphone, meaning that the circuitry inside of it is durable enough to withstand your average new user to studio gear. So between the low price point, the decent performance, and the good durability, this microphone is a great deal for someone who is new to studio gear, looking to expand into different types of gear from maybe just their basic starter mic. It is a very clear mic and a very bright mic. We'll listen to it here in a second. With all that, it's a good starter mic. So let's go ahead and take a quick listen. We're going to switch off the lavalier mic and listen to this guy. Okay, so this is the audio as it comes through the SCM800. Like I said, it's a little bit of a brighter mic. There's a little bit of sibilance in there, especially as I throw some S's into the sentence. They tend to sound a little harsher, I feel like, than with other microphones. Otherwise, though, it sounds good. It's clear enough. It's loud enough that it can, be easily heard. And yeah, good overall, very good mic. So while this is a decent mic for someone who is getting started with studio gear and with building out either their home studio or their podcast or streaming setup, it is something that I feel like most people will probably grow out of at some point. It will get you through those first few years, but eventually you may want something nicer that is going to be cleaner and is going to have a more even tone characteristic that you're not going to have to work so hard to get it sounding good. All right, guys, thanks for watching. If this video was helpful for you, throw a like on it. Also, leave any comments that you have for me in the comments section below. There's links in the description section to places you can find me online, as well as some of my buddies out there in the streaming world who are fun to watch. Come check out the streaming on YouTube Gaming. There's always somebody on, and it's usually a lot of fun. It's a great community. All right, guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.